Hello, everyone, and welcome to Around South Jersey. I have one of the most talented men I know with me tonight, and I'll bet you a lot of you may not have known that Fred Melendez is not only a great sportscaster, sports writer, you name it, he can do it. He is the sound doctor. Fred Melendez, the sound doctor, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
How many years have you been doing music and DJing?
DJing, the sound doctor is actually in its 41st year now. I started in 1982.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't even what I was into originally. Sports was my number one passion, as you know.
Sure.
And so I got into broadcasting. I did radio work, and I had a classmate who did a show with me early on in Hamilton radio station. And he came up with the idea of we should take this radio music thing on the road. So he had all the music. He was one of those that he danced at every high school dance, and he was really into music. And he said we should do something where we could take this radio show on the road. And we were young. We were in our young 20s. Uh-huh. And so, 20-year-olds have all these ambitions. He said we should do it so that we can get two sets of equipment going, once we build it up a little bit. And we did that. We got a lot of good shows. Back then, of course, music and DJing was a lot more popular.
Yeah.
The music was tremendous.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it at that. And it was all his idea, and I went with it. Before you know it, it took off pretty well. And we did get that situation where we had two sets of equipment, because back then we were both thinking, well, you can do this wedding, you can do that wedding, and we could split the money.
Right.
And it worked for a good while. But once my sports writing started, kind of split up everything. And we had the equipment, so we split up everything 50-50. The funny thing is now that it was his idea to start it, but as soon as we split up, I don't think he was in it that much longer.
Oh, no kidding.
And I just kept going with it. Between the nightclubs, the private parties, the weddings, and all the things that DJs do musically, it just has been one great ride for over 40 years now.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Fred. It really is.
Now, the name, I may as well explain the name as well. His initials were MD. Mine are FM. So the FM for the sound. Yeah, the FM was the sound, and his MD was the doctor.
Oh,
so we were
okay.
the sound doctors.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I got you.
That's how we got the name. Anybody now who does not know why that's the name, that's the history.
That's neat. It's
Yeah.
like me with Bim's Pizzeria. People think it means Best in Millville. It doesn't. D is for Bob, who was my partner at the time, and the IM is from Jim. So that's where we got Bim's. So,
there you
yeah,
go.
that's neat. Who was the guy?
His name is Mike DeLuca. We graduated together in 1976. I went to college at Alabama for the 4 years after that. And as I said, we got into radio. You remember Jim Rodeo.
I do. He offered me a job.
There you go.
And I turned it down. You know why? It wasn't even minimum wage.
Oh, but back then,
I know they didn't have to.
radio was cheap.
It was well. At least
Salary-wise.
I was making minimum wage at WWBZ.
Yeah,
but he wanted to give me $1.50 an hour, and minimum wage was $1.65.
Yeah, yeah. But I started with what was then WNJ. I think it was WRDR by the time I got there.
Right. Yeah.
He was WNJH at first, but he switched. He got the FM.
Yeah.
And made it WRDR if I remember correctly.
That's what it was when I got applied for the job.
So he had the AM and FM thing.
Right.
He eventually sold the AM, Jim Rodeos.
Yeah.
Sold the AM.
TYO.
Became WTYO. A guy named Norm Sanders bought the AM.
I see.
And there was a decision to be made, and I went with the AM because it was a new venture and just seemed to have more possibilities for me at the time. And
You should have stuck with your initials, FM.
Well, it's okay. But anyway, Michael joined us as well.
Oh,
when I was
good.
doing
I see.
WTYO. He became our news person at first. And so he basically came up with the idea of the DJing. So that's how that all worked out.
That's pretty cool.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. Holy cow. So when you graduated college, did you go right to Hamilton Radio?
Well, I was born and raised in Hamilton, so I came back home after that. There was a little bit, you're searching for jobs, so I wasn't in working right away. But then after a while, that's how I got involved with Jim Rodeo. It was just a part-time situation at the time. And that was 1981. and he sold the AM in '82, I think it was. So about a year with him, and then, as we mentioned, the AM was bought, became a new entity, and it took off for what the program director. Yeah, that's what they're called.
Yeah,
right. He was a big-time sales guy, and he wanted to do all sorts of different shows as well as just music. We did that, like you do the what do you call it, the flea market thing where you sell things.
Auction time. Yeah.
We called it Tradio.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. So we had a Tradio talk show 9:30 to 10, and then we had the 11 o'clock hour. We had Mondays and Wednesdays. We had a Psychic Connection show.
That was very popular. I did that with VLT when I used to buy it
Right.
an hour time.
Back in the early 80s, Kathleen.
People loved that.
Yeah, Kathleen Bermonti, I won't forget her. And people just called and called for the whole hour to get her reading.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Mine was, the guy was doing more of a astrology thing where, tell you your birth date and he'd tell you all about it.
Right.
But that's neat.
Yeah.
That was even
Yeah.
better, the psychic show.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was. She was something else.
Jeez, that's
Yeah.
fantastic. So that was 82?
82 to 83. I'm trying to get the first 82 to 84, basically. Well, maybe even part of 85. Yeah, because I was working part-time with the newspaper back then. I never thought about sports writing. I was always a sports announcer oriented.
Right.
But through my wife, Wendy, I met Jim Cheeseman. You know Jim Cheeseman pretty well.
Yeah.
And he talked to me about needing a part-time sports writer. Now, I had never done sports writing, but I figured, why not? I had the time. It was the afternoon. I did the morning show, so I had the time free. And that's when I got introduced to Claudia McCarthy. That was 1984. Yep, fall of 84. And I covered as a stringer. They call them stringers back then. I don't know if that's still the word. But I covered the field hockey team in the fall, then the girls basketball team in the winter. That's when Alan Shaw, I believe, was the head coach. That's a big-time Millville name
sure is.
as well.
Yeah.
So Alan Shaw, I covered him for that 1 year that he did that. And then the full-time position came up in the spring. I wasn't going to do anything in the spring, but back then it was the Millville Daily and Vineland Times Journal.
Yes.
That was the combination back then. They came up with a full-time position, just popped up. So
that's where you went.
That's where I went. I left the radio, and I went ahead and. Oh my goodness! There you go. There's something from back in the day. Just before I left, 87, in the summer of '87, I started a new venture as well. But yeah, we had all sorts of columns, and the stories. There were many of them, and the one thing I will say about it, the view from the cheap sheets. I believe that was the Manasquan paper I did after my full-time gig with the Bridgeton Millville Daily. Okay. That was the Co-Star.
I see.
Yeah, so that was a weekly publication as opposed to a daily. But the full-time position came up at the Journal. I took that for 2 years. And then you know Mike Cadimo, I'm assuming.
I sure do.
Okay. Yeah. He was at the Bridgeton paper. They had 2 editions as well. You remember the Millville edition and the Bridgeton edition.
I wrote for the Millville edition.
Yeah, there you go. So you know what I'm talking about.
Weekly column, the only thing I could ever do.
Well, Mike came over to the Daily Journal on whatever, he moved to the Daily Journal.
See.
So that opened up the sports job at Bridgeton, and I just jumped on it. So
and what year was that, Fred?
87. Yeah, I started there. You want to talk about how things work together. The psychic that I mentioned, she gave me 2 sets of magic number, whatever. She said, your numbers are 589 and 629. Well, don't you know, my first day on the job at the Bridgeton, it was still the Bridgeton Evening News Millville edition, was June 29th, 629.
I'll be darned.
She was good.
She was. Yeah. Can we bring her back here?
Yeah. Well, she's up there now.
That's a shame.
That was the early 80s. So, yeah, she's passed away. But I'll never forget her giving me those 2 numbers, especially the 629.
Yeah.
Because that's when I started at Bridgeton.
And who hired you there?
Jack Hummel.
That's our buddy.
Now, the funny thing is, I remember as clear as day when Mike came over and I called Jack. And as soon as I said who I was, he started laughing on the phone.
No kidding.
Because I think he knew why I was calling. So yeah, Jack hired me there, and I think it was 1990 when the Millville Daily came. Not Millville, the Millville News.
Right.
They made Millville its own paper.
Yes. Right.
John Ewing, I think, was the one that
that's
did
correct.
that.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
But the one thing I love about Jack, I love a lot of things. He's now also passed away, but I'll never forget what he told me when I first got there. He said, "Write what you see." And that's how I approached the whole time I was at the Millville paper, the Millville Daily. See how they get mixed up? The Millville News.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what I did. And he gave me the freedom to do it as I wanted to do it. And I don't know how I covered all those teams at one time, but it was the greatest 9 years.
Is that how long it was? Right?
It was 87 to 96.
That's great.
And each year, obviously, different sports, different seasons. And I picked the schedule of the game that I wanted to see, and then I got calls from other people to get the other stories. And it worked out very well. It was a fun time. I know a lot of the coaches and players and parents and families enjoyed the coverage, something I don't think they ever had before. And I thrived in it, and I've made a lot of great associations with those coaches. Back in the day was Coach Ceres, of course, Coach Vinnick, Claudia McCarthy. Those are some of the classic names. Yeah. But, all the coaches that came through in that 9-year period, they were all unique and all helped me out to make the Millville News what it was.
And it really was very, very popular. Mm-hmm. And you had, even to this day, I run into people that you covered, and they were so thrilled about the article that you did on them and on their team. Right. And that type of thing. And the nice thing, too, Fred, was they did not limit you, as Joyce Vanneman, the same thing. They didn't limit you to space, to lines. You could tell the story and explain everything that happened and give the credit to everybody that deserved the credit, which was wonderful.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. When Jack said, "Write what you see," if I saw certain players doing certain things, like the linemen on football teams, you note those, you make the little notes, and you include them in the story.
Yeah, which is nice.
The linemen, we all know, don't get too much ink, as they say.
Yeah.
And what I think is the most fun for me is when I see some of these athletes now. I saw Erica Vanneman at the gym the other day.
Great player she was.
Scott Gellert. Everybody that I've seen, that I covered, comes back and tells me how much they appreciate what happened at that time.
And why don't you tell the people what I asked you earlier today, and you told me no. Everybody tells me no. I said, Fred, you'd be a great candidate to run for office. No way. Everybody loves Fred. Everybody knows him. You've got a great name recognition.
That's something that has to be in your blood, as you know, James. No, and I have no political aspirations. No.
Which is probably better, because this way you'll get people calling you from both sides of the party that will want you to be their sound doctor. And, that's something. I didn't realize you've done that for so many years. That's fantastic. Wow.
Yeah, it started out innocently. It took off very nicely. I mean, I've done all sorts of places. Rumor's Rib Room was one of my favorite places back in the day. That was in Buna.
Yeah.
Every Friday and Saturday night we partied it up. It was great.
Well, tell everybody the new place I'm all excited about.
Cheers?
Yeah.
Cheers it's a very nice place. If you get down to Fair, it used to be the old Toadfish.
Yep.
So if you remember the Toadfish, it's now called Cheers. And
where everybody knows your name.
Well, everybody knows your name, yes. We went through the checklist of the characters on the show the other day. But they've opened up recently, and I was fortunate enough to DJ the night before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I saw that.
We've done a couple other shows there, and it's been a pleasure to work everywhere. But Cheers, if you get a chance to go down there, it's new, it's well lit, it's very well, it's clean, it's everything that you want a place to be for a night out, and the service is good. Rigo, the manager, he's a great guy. And they got some good service. So if you want a good night out, I recommend Cheers.
Don't they have food too?
They have food. The menu's there, so you don't have to eat anything else. You come to Cheers and get a good meal. The servers are great, and it's just a good place to come out and just spend a few hours out on the town. Yeah, definitely.
And I'm so happy to see that they reopened that, because my son used to play in a band and he would play there, and I'd go there often and stuff. And what a nice spot. It has that little second floor balcony type thing, which is very nice. It overlooks the.
And I'm sure if you talk to Rigo, you can plan some private parties there, because they have that upstairs, as you mentioned.
Right.
It's separated from the main floor. So if you have a little party of 20, 25 people.
Right.
check out the place and have your party there.
That is really great.
And of course, if you need music, give me a call.
Sound Doctor is available. In fact, why don't you tell them your number? Because
the phone number, I'm going to give you a few things here. Phone number is 856-777-3656. That's the number I have now. And if you want to check out my Facebook page, it's Fred Melendez, the Sound Doctor, as you see right there. It's on Facebook under that name, so you can check that. As they say, like the page,
Yeah, right.
And if you leave any notes, I'm always always
Right.
Answer back when I see messages. Parties that you have coming up, special events, whether they're big-time weddings or backyard barbecues, doesn't matter. If you like good music, hire the Sound Doctor. That's what I'm going to tell you.
I agree, and we'll be back with more with the Sound Doctor. We're going to talk a lot more about his broadcasting career and even the karaoke, and we'll do all that right after these messages.
When you want delicious food made from scratch soups and locally sourced ingredients, you head to Larry's 2 on Main Road in Vineland, New Jersey. Family owned and operated, Larry's 2 boasts one of the area's only salad bars with a great selection of fresh vegetables, rolls, dressings, and more. In their cafe, enjoy a piping hot cup of your favorite beverage made by one of their skilled baristas. Their complimentary Wi-Fi allows Larry's 2 to be the meeting destination with a friend or small group. They also offer banquet rooms that can accommodate 10 to 120 guests for any occasion. Open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Sunday through Thursday and 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. Call Larry's 2 today at 856-692-9001. Larry's 2 Restaurant and Cafe, located at 907 North Main Road in Vineland, New Jersey.
I'm Brian Lankin, third generation business owner, Al Shoes. Been at the same location since 1961, our 61st year. We specialize in work boots, work shoes, orthopedic shoes, baby walking shoes, and school shoes. We go up to a men's 17 and a woman's 13. It's $5 off 25 and 10 off 100 if you mention that you've seen this.
More than a century ago, General Tire was born, right here in America. Since then, we've made a name for ourselves by making tires you can depend on. Tires built to handle any road this country can throw at them, and relied on by every kind of driver. So you know that no matter where life takes you, with General Tire, anywhere is possible.
The most important decisions a family can make are usually made around the kitchen table. At DeMarco Luisi Funeral Home, we believe pre-planning and the difficult decisions you face with the loss of a loved one should also be made around the comfort of a table, like a family. Our friendly, kind, and compassionate staff is committed to helping you get through this most difficult time. In your time of need, trust DeMarco Luisi Funeral Home, Vineland.
Complete Care Health Network has some big news to share with you.
We're here opening more locations and offering more services every day,
including our newest locations on Pearl Street in Bridgeton and High Street in Millville.
We're here with convenient, high-quality, and accessible healthcare services all under one roof.
We're here just a call or an email away.
We're here to provide compassionate care for you and your family.
We're here and we're ready when you are.
Complete Care Health Network, ready when you are.
Welcome back to Around South Jersey. Fred Melendez, the Sound Doctor, is my guest. And as Fred talked about, if you have a backyard barbecue, you have a wedding coming up, you have any type of event where you need music, Fred is the man to contact, and it's 856-777-3656. Thank you, George, as he put that on the screen, because it was a little confusing. Fred had another phone number, which I also have on my phone, so... anyway, we got the
that's the number you want to call. And those of you who call, I will meet with you ahead of time, anytime. If you want to meet more than once to talk over the whole situation musically, I'm very customer friendly, as they say. So if you need to talk to me before the event, that's the number to call.
And Fred has been doing this for 40 years.
I'm heading to my 41st year right now.
For 41 years, so you don't have to worry about some kid forgetting something or not knowing what they're doing, and he's got all the great equipment. And then that leads me to where I was running into Fred a lot, was Jenny's place, where he was doing the karaoke for Jenny Lou, and that was frequent too, wasn't it?
There was a time when it was Tuesday through Saturday.
Yeah. And now, where are you doing karaoke?
It's a little more sporadic now. This coming Friday, as a matter of fact, I'll be at the Red Brick Tavern, 6:30 start. So those of you who like to sing, Bridgeton, right there on Pearl Street.
Yeah, it's a nice place.
It's a nice place, great crowd. I love the people that are there during the regular times. And Carmen is a great owner. I love Carmen. I just met him a few months ago, and I'm already really good friends with him.
Do you know his last name?
Graziano, I believe.
Okay.
Carmen Graziano. He's been the owner there for as long as I've been DJing, pretty much.
Oh, that's super.
So he's a very accommodating guy, very friendly guy, and I think you'll have a good time. If you like to sing, come on out this Friday. It starts at 6:30. It's nice and early, so you don't have to stay up late or anything like that. And just enjoy yourself whether it's party music or singing. The crowd's very nice there.
That's great. Yeah, I'm sure that's probably a more mature crowd.
It is. It's an older crowd, but
for us mature people.
Well, there's some people who have been at other places with me that are a little younger that come out and sing as well. But for the most part, it's a very friendly atmosphere, and you're just going to have a good time.
Yeah. That's something nice, and you can choose your beverage, whether you want a soda or if you want a beer or you want a mixed drink. They got everything there for you, and as Fred said, go out and have a good time. And you can keep it pretty inexpensive depending upon what you drink, and have fun. And the sound doctor will be there to put up the words to the song, and you can just sing.
If you don't know the words, a lot of people actually know what they're singing,
sure
which is kind of makes it even better.
Yeah.
But the screen is set up for you. If you don't remember all the words, they're right in front of you there, and you can sing whichever song you want. And most of them,
that's right. Yeah, you let them give you whatever song they want to sing.
If it was a top 40 hit, 99% of the time it's going to be on the system I have. I have a subscription to this, so just about anything that was popular, no matter whether it was in the 50s or today, is going to be there. So if you have I have a lot of people who actually bring lists of songs that they sing.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, that's pretty neat too.
That
and
is cool.
Say, well, let's see, I haven't sung that one in a while, so if you could put that one up. But the singers are all great. And again, nobody's judging your voice, okay? It's just a fun time. Karaoke is meant to be fun.
And Fred can sing too. I really am envious of this guy. He can write, he can sing, he can do all these things. I can't do anything. It's like, wait a minute, Fred, how come you're so good? Honest to God, if I sang, it would empty the place. Everybody go, oh my God, that guy's so bad. They'd all leave.
Well, it's all in song selection too. You got to pick songs that are in your range.
There is nothing in my range. I often say I couldn't carry a tune in a bucket. I am terrible. I have no ability to sing whatsoever. And if it wasn't for my former wife, it would have been hard for me to do those columns too. In fact, it was funny when I used to do my column in the Millville News. It was about a retired athlete, one of the Millville athletes in the past. I would interview them, but I'm a night owl, so I would do the column. I'd write it between 11 at night and 1 in the morning because I don't think very much before noontime.
Okay, that's we all have our internal clocks.
Yeah. Well, as I say, I did auction time for 30-some years, and that was 6 to 11 at night, so I was on the night shift.
There you go.
And also when I broke into radio, my first job was at WWBZ, and that was 6 to 8, Monday through Friday. And then on Saturday, I had the 10 to 2 thing to do with JQ on WWBZ. That was a DJ show that I got to do there.
I like the way the voice dips down with that radio voice.
I got to do that. And then I went to WMVB. I was teaching school full time, and I was doing radio 7 to 11 at nighttime. So I rarely ever had one job. But I think I have ADD, so I got to keep active, keep busy. Got to do something. With friends last night, they were sitting at this place looking at the water, and after a while, I said, "I'm sorry, guys, my ADD is kicking in. I'm getting bored just sitting here." So got them to leave and bring me home. But
there you go.
It is. You have a lot of talent, Fred. You really do.
Well, again, I attribute a lot of that to my childhood when I was listening to a guy named Gene Hart.
Oh, yeah.
He was my hero, and he's the reason that hockey's number one with me. Those of you who are old enough to remember the early 70s and the Stanley Cup years, Gene Hart had no equal, in my opinion. When he did a game, the excitement level just went through the roof. So I tried to emulate him a little bit in my own sportscasting that I do, broadcasting. So when you see me get a little bit pumped up at these basketball or football games, it's because of Gene Hart. Gene Hart's coming out in me. The spirit of that guy. He just loved what he did, and there was such a joy when he said the word "score" when the Flyers scored, and it was just electric.
Yeah,
so
it was.
That's why I patterned myself after him. So I have him to thank for that.
And it's interesting too, Fred. I couldn't do hockey. I don't know hockey. I know when they score a goal.
Right.
I can't do hockey. I can't do soccer. I couldn't do field hockey. I couldn't do what's the one they throw the ball and catch it?
Lacrosse.
Lacrosse, thank you. That type.
Yep.
I mean, in fact, when I was in high school, they didn't have soccer. So all I had was baseball, football, and basketball, and I've done all three of those, and I enjoy that because I know the game and know what's going on. But you amaze me, and on top of that, his daughter Ariel is like phenomenal. Tell everybody what Ariel does.
Ariel is involved with, I believe it's called Philly Hockey. It's I think it's not really a blog. I'm not sure what the entity is, but she was recently hired by Philly Hockey to cover all the home games for the Flyers. And what she does is, like any other journalist, she's in the press box watching the game. And then at the end of the game, she goes down and does the coaches' interviews, player interviews. And many times, when I've watched since she's been doing this, she gets to ask John Tortorella the first question. I say she must be in the front row to do that, and I couldn't be prouder of her.
Super.
And the great thing is that I never really pushed her in that direction. It was like anything else; she picked it up on her own.
Wow!
And she went to Cabrini College at the time to go for the broadcasting and things like that, and. Her passion is definitely hockey as well, and I don't know so much about the broadcasting. She does a great job with me, and I appreciate. I appreciate all the compliments that you guys give us when you watch these games on Quinn Broadcasting. Everybody says really nice things about us, and I appreciate it because it does come from the heart. What you see as far as and what you hear, and Ariel's right there. She picks up on all the cues. And she's very good at what her analysis, very good. She makes me a proud dad. She really does.
And rightfully so. And, of course, Ryan Narowski, our super producer, thinks the world of both of you and is always so happy when you're going to be doing the games. And, we appreciate the great job that you do.
I will never forget, Ryan, the very first game I did. At the end, it was the Millville-Lenape playoff game, I believe, a couple of years back. And after the game was over, I had never met Ryan. The game was over, the cameras, everything was off. And he just turned to me and he said, "Can you do every game?" I always tease him about that because I didn't really expect anything like that. But no, Ryan is he's a good guy. He likes to do a professional job.
Yes,
I know you know that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And all the things that are in the broadcast that we do, the pregame interviews, the start of the game things, those are his ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's a great director, and I love working with him just as well as he enjoys my company.
Yeah, that really was worked out well.
Yep.
We're talking with Fred Melendez, who is the sound doctor, who does play-by-play of any sport, you name it as well, and much more. And we'll talk a little bit more to Fred right after these messages.
In South Jersey, we do things our own way. We say things out loud, face things head on, and never back down. And that's how we fight cancer. With the most advanced diagnostics, leading-edge technology, and a team of doctors who know how to treat your cancer. And most importantly, we do it right here at the Frank and Edith Scarpa Cancer Center, Vineland, and the Leading Edge Cancer Center, Mullica Hill.
Imagine living without pain. For over 35 years, Doctors Beebe and Doyle have helped thousands of people find relief from all types of pain. Millville Chiropractic Center has 4 doctors on staff specializing in hands-on or light-touch, drug-free pain relief methods. The examination, x-rays, therapies, and adjustments are all performed at one location. Schedule a consultation today. Enjoy life without pain and discomfort. Millville Chiropractic Center, the area's #1 pain relief center.
At Mintz Insurance, we're proud to have been serving our customers for nearly 80 years, offering 30 different insurance products for your auto, home, and business. And to help ensure that you're getting the best rates possible, we give you up to 3 quotes for every policy, so you can choose what's right for you. At Mintz, we're part of the community, local representatives, supporting events, and proud of it. It's part of who we are. Mintz Insurance. Call today and find out how we can help you save on insurance, or visit us at mintzinsurance.com.
Complete Care has some big news to share with you.
We're here opening more locations and offering more services every day,
including our newest locations on Pearl Street in Bridgeton and High Street in Millville.
We're here with convenient, high-quality, and accessible healthcare services all under one roof.
We're here just a call or email away.
We're here to provide compassionate care for you and your family.
We're here and we're ready when you are.
Complete Care Health Network. Ready when you are.
Vineland, New Jersey is a place rich in innovation and deeply rooted in hometown traditions. The city's agricultural legacy, where brands like Welch's and Progresso originated, lives on today alongside companies producing the critical pharmaceutical packaging we depend on. While Vineland continues to grow, it retains a quality of life enriched by cultural diversity and an abundance of nature's playgrounds to enjoy.
I'm Mayor Anthony Fanucci. We have something for everyone at VinelandCity.org.
Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season.
Well, Wildflower Vegan Cafe is one of the longest-running all-vegan eateries in the state, and the only one in South Jersey to feature so much local and organic produce, where everything is made in-house from scratch. We have a small seasonal menu that changes frequently. We can always find healthy, hearty salads, wraps, soup, and baked goods, all made in-house.
When you want delicious food made from scratch soups and locally sourced ingredients, you head to Larry's 2 on Main Road in Vineland, New Jersey. Family owned and operated, Larry's 2 boasts one of the area's only salad bars with a great selection of fresh vegetables, rolls, dressings, and more. In their cafe, enjoy a piping hot cup of your favorite beverage made by one of their skilled baristas. Their complimentary Wi-Fi allows Larry's 2 to be the meeting destination with a friend or small group. They also offer banquet rooms that can accommodate 10 to 120 guests for any occasion. Open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Sunday through Thursday and 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. Call Larry's 2 today at 856-692-9001. Larry's 2 Restaurant and Cafe, located at 907 North Main Road in Vineland, New Jersey.
Welcome back to Around South Jersey. One of the best sportscasters in South Jersey is also one of the best music disc jockeys in South Jersey. The sound doctor, Fred Melendez, is my guest this evening. And Fred, how long have we known each other?
I'm trying to. I don't think we met during my Daily Journal days.
No, I think
it was once I was with the Bridgeton paper that we met. I might have said, "Hey, I'm interested in sports announcing." More than the writing. The writing was great. Don't get me wrong, the writing was great. All the athletes and coaches that I met during that time were excellent. Started with Sharigay Esposito, then you had Joe Felice, Mark Saul, of course, I'm not going to forget Mark Saul, Tiffany Bybel. Yeah. We could go the whole hour and mention names. Yeah. But and the coaches, of course, the one coach that I do want to mention is Larry Perry, because he took over a program that had won a conference championship for the first time in 18 years and graduated everybody. Steve Horn resigned from the job. Yeah. Larry took over. And no coach had ever done this, Jim. He said to me, "Fred, give me 2 years to get this program on track, And he said, if I'm not winning in my third year, you can rip me in the papers. Now, there's nobody around here would ever say something like that. But what I liked about him is he was straightforward, and he knew that he wanted to create a program. He got kids into college that probably may not have gotten into college at that time. His first 2 years were rough, but then that third year came along, and that team put together a 2-year record. I'm trying to remember, 39-13.
Wow.
So that's like a 750 winning percentage. But the more important thing is he always stressed the kids, whether it was Melissa Corsi, who was his 4-year starter. Jennifer Denby came in. She had just 2 years in the program, but she scored 1,000 points in 2 years. Anybody who remembers that era, Jen Denby was, and he had nicknames for all of them. He called her Magic. He said, "Wait till you see Magic." That was Jennifer Denby and Stephanie Slough. He had 3 consecutive years where he had 1,000-point scores. I don't know how rare that is, but at that time, certainly in this area, we didn't see that too much.
Yeah, that's true.
But 3 consecutive years, and he was always accommodated. We talked for hours after games. So I have to mention Larry Perry. He was a great coach and a great friend. Even back in the day, Paul Sacco, the famous St. Joe football coach, my first endeavors with the sports broadcasting were Hamilton St. Joe football. Mm-hmm. And Paul Sacco was just at the very beginning of his tenure. I think he may have retired finally. But those 2 teams, Hamilton, St. Joe, provided us a lot of great moments. Bruce Lazarick was the head coach for Hamilton. And the one game that I remember back then was a playoff game. They were in Group 2 at that time. They were a small school. Hamilton played Delsey. And Hamilton got out to a 29-8 lead, and they were the underdogs. Mm. Delsey roared back, made it a 5-point game. Wow. And then Hamilton's defense answered twice to keep the game, in a victory for Hamilton.
Wow.
I know that I probably lost my mind that day too. So there's just a lot of great memories, and that's why sports are so key.
Something different every time.
You never know what to expect, and when you have moments of these athletes amaze me, Jim. I mean, when you watch what they do, the ones that are really talented, like the Mark Sauls, the Joe Felices, and all them guys. It's just amazing to watch and to describe it, please.
Yeah.
Just like I always tell you, give me the mic.
Now we got Lotsier Brooks, who's amazing.
Right.
For current.
LaQuint Allen was another one that was recent, and he's at Syracuse
now. Yeah.
So.
And even had some Pacheco from Violin.
Isaiah dominated Millville.
He was like the man among
he was a one-man gang against Millville. I'll never forget those 2 games. But he's now in the pros, and it's good to see that. I mean, he's represents.
With the Chiefs, isn't he?
He's with Kansas City, and he's going to be a star. He's going to be a star.
Somebody asked me, Fred, I predict the Eagles in Kansas City for the Super Bowl. I hope I'm right.
That would be interesting because then you're facing Andy Reid.
Yeah, exactly.
So that would be a very intriguing matchup.
Well, there are 2 teams I like because of Pacheco and also, of course, Mahomes.
Mahomes is a great quarterback.
Quarterback, just like Jalen Hurts is for the Eagles as well. I understand Jalen is still hurt.
Yeah, it's tough to recover from an injury that soon.
Yeah.
But I don't want to say he was pressed into action, but the Eagles definitely wanted the first round bye, and they had to bring him out if he could play. And it's like any other athlete. If they say they can go, they're going to go, especially in the pros.
Well, you see where they tried to protect him. His big key thing is he's a great
he didn't
runner.
Run that much.
Exactly. So at least they were able to get that game out of the way. They had this weekend off, and then they don't play until almost 2 weeks. From
they got a 2-week break there.
Which is good. So hopefully his shoulder will improve. And we would be remiss while we're here this evening if we didn't talk about the late Bob Hutchings. Bob passed away yesterday. In fact, this weekend they were going to run a tournament at Millville High School with, I think, 4 or 5 basketball games set up from 10 a.m. until the final game, Millville's Timber Creek game. And the money, the proceeds was going to go to help with his medical costs. And I don't know what's going on with that now, but I remember Hutch when I did his games when he played with Bob or with Alan Shaw and all that great squad back in 68, 69. And remember doing that. And boy, he was an intense ball player. He just put 110% into everything he did. And he was a great coach. I followed him in Bridgeton when I was doing the radio broadcast of Bridgeton High School basketball. That one year they were doing really well. He was there. He followed Felton Lingo. Actually, Felton was the one doing the playoffs when I was there, but Bob followed him. And then he went to Stockton, and he coached all over the world. He would go and give lessons and teach and all that. And basketball was his main love, but he was a good football player and a baseball player as well. So he was like a triple crown person.
Yeah.
Three letters, one for each sport.
I think you just said a great person. He and I had many conversations. A lot of times, he was a big kidder, as you know. He always had to make people laugh. And there he is right there. But his personality, as you mentioned, energetic, enthusiastic, and he threw in a lot of humor as well. So he was a great man to know. And I think I did a few basketball games with him as far as announcing goes. So great to work with.
Yeah, he's a super guy. Lord rest his soul. And
Nick
Caselda asked me, I don't know if anybody knows, maybe you could message us or give me a call on my phone or let me know when the services are going to be. I'm sure there'll be thousands of people wanting to go to that. Speaking of services, I wanted to give my respects to Larry Miller's family. Larry passed away a little over a week ago. I went to his funeral at Dwelling Place Church at 2nd and Pine Street in Millville and saw my cousin Bobby Bledsoe, who runs the church, and I didn't recognize him. He looked so good. He was all spiffed up. I was like, whoa. But I want to thank Bobby and Pastor Alfred and everybody at the church. They went and made their church available for Larry's funeral because that was the church Larry went to, the Presbyterian Church, and unfortunately the Presbyterian Church dissolved, and Bobby with Dwelling Place Ministries bought the church, but he was kind enough to let the Rocab Shannon Funeral Home use the church, and it was nice to be able to be in the church. And at the viewing right behind me was our Congressman, Jeff Van Drew, so we had a good opportunity to talk as well, and it was good to see Jeff. And again, my condolences go out to Larry Miller's family. He was a class guy. I started teaching, he was already there, in 1974. It would be in 1966. I started teaching at Millville Junior High, and Larry had been there 4 years. He was 4 years older than me. But he went right on up from teacher to assistant principal to superintendent. And everybody would always say about Larry, he was so calm and so pleasant to deal with and such a nice man. And he certainly will be missed, as will his wife, Alice, who passed away a few months before him. Boy, cancer is tough. It really is. Larry had pancreatic, which he actually was able to stay around longer than the average person who gets pancreatic cancer. But please go get checkups, folks. I mean, if I hadn't had 2 checkups, I'd be dead. It's one of those things where, in fact, this is a funny story in the sense that I was working out with Danny Richter. He was my personal trainer at the Fitness Connection. And anyway, he had me really working. I went home that evening, and I had a situation where I had blood in my urine. And I called him, and he said, Jim, you better go get that checked out. That's not from working out. And fortunately, I did, and it was kidney cancer, and that was almost 20 years ago now or so. Had the kidney taken out, and that saved my life, because had it stayed, it would have spread and would have become stage 4 and all that kind of stuff. And cancer is very, very prevalent. One of the things, too, although none of the people I'm thinking of, none of those people smoke. Smoking can really hurt you with, of course, lung cancer, and smoking also hurts with the heart disease. It sort of clots or closes up your arteries a little bit, and things like that. So one good thing, you've never been a smoker, have you?
No.
Me either. I've
never had an interest in that.
No, I don't. how people do it. And I understand. I'm a foodaholic, so I've got to fight the food addiction. So I'm not putting anybody down. Alcohol, cigarettes, whatever it is. I just always say I'd rather eat my calories than drink my calories. So I'm not really. And Fred isn't much either. We go at the bar.
Yeah.
Fred has one beer.
Food, yeah, just a little bit. I don't excess anything.
No, you don't. That's for sure. Which is a good thing to do. But some good people we lost here in the city of Millville, and I certainly want to extend my condolences to everyone who knew Hutch and, of course, Dr. Miller, two wonderful Millville people that made a big impression. They really did in the city of Millville. You know, as it turns out. Anyway, this Saturday we will be doing the Millville Timber Creek game. That's the last game on Saturday. There's 3 other games, maybe 4 other games. It's supposed to start at 10 a.m. and it goes till the end of the Timber Creek Millville game at 4:30. So about 6 it should be done. So anyway, we're talking with Fred Melendez, the sound doctor, and the phone number is 856-777
3656.
3656. And before I forgot about it, I'm part of my class reunion committee, which we're going to be having one this year, my high school class. And, you know, Fred would be a great person to do that and to do your class reunions, you know, weddings, bar mitzvahs, anything you have coming up where you need music. Fred will do it for you, and Fred is reasonable. He won't rip you off. You know,
I always negotiate the price. I have what I want to get, but 9 times out of 10, I bring the price down.
Yeah,
because I'd rather have the job than not get it.
Exactly,
because of the price. So we can talk about that.
Yep. In fact, he and I are going to negotiate after this on my class reunion price. I have no idea what they paid last time, but anyway, we'll work on that. But please do that. It would. You know, anytime you got a Sweet 16 or graduation parties or anything you have going on, Fred will be there. He's available. He's got all the equipment. 99% of the music you want, he's got available for you.
And if people do want the karaoke at the party, we can do that too.
Oh, that's true too. Yeah,
I have the capability of just playing music, and if those people get the feeling well and want to sing a few songs, we can do that too.
That's great.
So, whatever you want to hear, whether it's music or you want to sing, I'm your guy.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've gone to several of Fred's karaoke events, and I'm really impressed in South Jersey with how many people have a great voice and can sing. They really can, can't they, Fred?
Yes, they can.
Well, I'm surprised, too. Yeah. You sucker. You sing well. Jeez, this guy, there's nothing he can't do. You know?
It's basically what songs you pick. It really is.
Fred, it doesn't matter. I could pick Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star and screw it up. I cannot sing. I can't. I never could. I just, it's really embarrassing.
Honestly, I didn't know I could sing till I tried it. So,
I couldn't carry a tune in the bucket. I really couldn't. I just don't have that.
You're a star in the shower, though, right?
No, I don't even try. No, not my cup of tea. Not my thing to do. But, you know, Fred, I know, and it's interesting because I had to do this also. Fred talked about a little bit earlier about how low pay radio is, especially when you start out. Diane Allen and I talked about it, and she worked at a Mount Holly radio station, and she and I are about the same age. She got the same minimum wage I got, and what it is like a Mike Bowe. I hired him at WMVB at minimum wage, and Mike was able to move all the way up to Magic and make a decent living. If you get to Philadelphia, you're in good shape, but in South Jersey, you're working for minimum wage, or you're buying time from the radio station, and those type things, because it is difficult, and even more so now because of the social media. Getting advertisers on radio and even the TV are not as easy as it used to be. People are just going to their phones and clicking on different things on the telephone and stuff like that. So it is, I guess my point I wanted to get to was I loved radio, but I realized I had a family and I had to make a living. So I went to college and got a degree, as Fred did. I got mine in education. So I was able to teach and then work radio at nighttime and on weekends. Yes, on Saturdays, sometimes Sundays, but mostly Saturdays to do sporting events and stuff like that. Fred, it's funny, I'll never forget my first play-by-play Millville High School football game. I got hired in 1969 as the color commentator with Vic Ziegler. Vic had been doing the games after Jim Hurley, who was my idol.
Okay.
So it was Jim Hurley, then Vic Ziegler took over when Jim retired from it. And then I finally got to do color commentary in 69 and 70. So in 1970, about midway through the season, Vic called up and he had laryngitis. So it was my opportunity to do my first play-by-play game.
Usually how something like that happens, yeah.
Yeah, but here's the interesting thing that happened. The game was at Mainland, which had the worst or almost non-existing press box, so they wouldn't even let me in the press box.
Oh, boy.
Here I am, a rookie play-by-play announcer. I'm not allowed to sit in the press box. I'm sitting in the stands. I'm doing radio. I had one of the sales managers on my left side holding the program, and one of the other workers at the radio station, he's holding the other program, and I'm holding the microphone, and I've got my ads, and I'm going back and forth trying to see the number. And I'll never forget, that was a very difficult play-by-play action to do from there. And from then on, it never got any better. They did put me on the scaffolding one time on the away side, and Charlie Hope, we were doing TV then, and Charles Hope, who is amazing, he was always doing the cameras for me, and Charles never missed a day of school. I remember Mr. Setzer saying to me when I hired him 40 years ago, he'll be one of the best employees you ever had. Now he is one of the best employees BFA ever had, but he was one of the best employees I ever had. Never, ever missed a day of work. Never missed a day of school, and came from a family where his dad never missed a day of work. Great work ethic, super person. So anyway, he's doing the camera. He's so sick, he's spitting up blood, the poor guy. He's just still there doing the camera. It's freezing. We're on the scaffolding at Mainland. The wind's whipping across our faces. It was like, oh my God, this is a horrible place to be. And I have to talk about, where was your favorite press box to do a game?
Ooh, trying to think of all of them. Well, Millville has developed a really nice press box. You know, they've really done a great job with that press box. All sorts of entities can get in there. Most of them are too small, to be honest with you.
Aren't they?
I can't think of one that was really comfortable.
The only one, Fred, that I had that I loved was Bridgeton's. They had a hallway with rooms off to the right. You had your separate room. You weren't sitting next to somebody else who was doing the play-by-play.
Right, yeah.
And then, this was comical, when Bridgeton redid their field, the sod and all that stuff, I was assessed, not assessed, but I was asked to raise $20,000 for the press box.
Okay.
Which, with the help of Joe Frazier and some other people that I knew, I was able to raise the $20,000. So I'm excited. Thinking, this Bridgeton's press box is going to be so great. I don't like it. It's just one open box, not like the other one that I loved. And they do have two tiers, but it's sort of like one of those prefab that they brought up and they set it down.
Right.
And it was new with the two tiers, but Bridgeton, in my opinion, and Vineland's pretty good, but Bridgeton had that common hallway where you could just step into your own room and do your thing and not have to be interfering with anybody. And it was just Joey Blandino, that's why he was the best athletic director. You know, he had the best press box. Tony was second.
Okay.
Oh, this is funny too, Fred. The first press box, this is a joke. The first press box I ever broadcast from was Millville's. It was better then than it is now.
Really?
Honest to God. They had glass to each side of you so you could see. The way it's set up now, you got to lean forward to see somebody going this way or this way. It honestly was the best press box I had, and it had the booths off, set up sort of the way they are. Although it's still compared to when we go up to Shawnee, Lenape, Cherokee, go sit on the other side, sit on the other. Here's towns with all the money in the world, and they've got some of the, I don't know, they won't let us in the press box, so I don't know how good the press box is or isn't, but can't get in there. So and Vineland's good. Millville and Bridgeton's still pretty nice. Cumberland's okay. It's small, but it's, only a couple of people and stuff like that.
Right.
So what was the best football game you ever did?
Well, that Hamilton-Delsey game was a great one.
That's right, yeah.
God, they all blend into each other after a while. Game-wise, of course, everybody reminds me of the Barriento game last year, basketball-wise.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, there's been so many. Watching the quarterbacks that they've had over the years, Millville, talking about,
great,
especially Mark Saul. Yeah. Mark Saul, he was allowed to pass. I'm going to put it that way. Millville liked the running game back then, as you know. Yeah. But then along came Mark Saul, and Dave Heck, I'll never forget, he called him Franchise.
Yeah.
Gave him the nickname Franchise, and he said, wait till you see this kid throw. And, of course, he was a state champion wrestler as well.
Yeah.
Talk about great athletes, another one. Mark Saul. It's just what I love about the whole thing is the athletes that I've seen, because these are young people doing things that I could never do at that age myself. I mean, some of the moves and plays that these kids make, the speed with which they run, the Brooks kid, as we mentioned, amazing. He can break away at any time. Yeah. And again, I got to see Alan play a little bit before he graduated. It's Millville's football program right now just looks amazing.
Doesn't
and they compete every year. The games that we did this year, the mainland game, of course, all the way to the state championship when they won the whole thing. Yeah. They are a great team to watch.
They sure are. Yeah.
The kudos to Dennis Thomas, who was a longtime coach here, and now Bert Ayala is keeping that tradition going.
He has.
So kudos to the Millville football team.
And you know who else we have to give kudos to? The youth football
I was going to say Quan Bolig.
They are amazing. That's where the feeder
That's where it all comes from,
folks. They are unbelievable.
Yeah.
So that's where Millville's football future really looks good, because the kids that are playing behind Lakeside Middle School in the youth program are unbelievable, and they develop them, and they go on to the high school, and they become the superstars that bring us back to state championships.
Well, see, those youth coaches that you mentioned, they're the ones that get it started, whether it's football, softball, baseball. Those coaches instill the mentality. They drill in the fact that you've got to work hard. And the fruit is born at the high school level. You see it all the time with these athletes that have been through these youth programs. And if you can support these youth programs, soccer as well is another one that's very big in the Millville area.
Yes, it is.
Support these youth leagues, because those children develop into great players on the high school level, and that is their path to college as well. That's a very important path to college. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, Fred, it's been nice to talk to you about the Sound Doctor and some of the other great things that you do for the community, and thanks for being such a good person and good friend and helping us out all the time. You and Ariel, I thank her too. It's been great to have you guys with us.
One quick note here, when I was in job trouble and you said, Fred, why don't you apply for the county job and you can still do the announcing for me? I'll never forget that. So hopefully I'll continue to be able to do that for you. Yeah. I'm almost retired now, so thank you for
God,
that. 2 more years and I'm done there. But the passion of the sports announcing and the DJing, again, the number's right there. Feel free to call that anytime. If I don't answer, just leave a voicemail. I will get back to you. And anybody who has any coverage of any sports activities, please give me a call. That's my number. I'll go anywhere to do any game. So there you go.
All right. Thank you so much, Fred.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Fred Melendez has been our guest here on Around South Jersey. We thank you very much for joining us. Next week, I've got 2 guests set up. Not sure yet what days it'll be, but my doctor, your dentist, your dentist, George Karaoke, will be a guest either Monday or Wednesday. I'm waiting to hear back from his office. And then if he does Monday, then Wednesday, Ethan Aronoff and the people from the Millville Library will talk about the edition that's moving along very nicely and some of the good things that are going to be coming to the local Millville Library. So for Fred Melendez and our producer, George Kuchia, I am Jim Quinn. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.
This has been a QBC television production in association with our partners and sponsors. QBC broadcasts on Comcast Cable Channel 22 and live streams its programming on Facebook and YouTube. All rights reserved by Quinn Media and QBC, programming that serves the South Jersey market.